This panel is all about the future. We are going to explore some of the future trends that we see in product management and technology. And we might actually go different directions, so I have no clue where this conversation is going to take us. Future foresight. Let me start with my first question. This is going to be pretty high level. What trends in product management can you see in the markets and industries that you're operating in? Who shall we start with? Adam.
Oh my. Generally, I think this is a very wide question, because when you look for the market, I think, give me one moment. Generally, I see a few things. One is more focus on giving more freedom and more autonomy to your team. You know, that PM is not the most stressed person about what we want to deliver, but engage the entire team in the process of understanding what needs to be developed and what we need to be give to the customers. Yeah.
Maybe, yeah, because Adam, your perspective is basically UX design, right? So maybe this is like not necessarily your type of question, but Olga, yeah?
Yes and no, but when you look for the product design, because it's better to call it in that way than the user experience, we are on the same scale like the product managers, because we work together with the product managers, we deal with the same problem, but maybe on the different level. Because product manager is focused on business, you know, the market, to find the best next idea that it's worth to deliver. But we, like the UX designers, try to help to understand the customers, what they need to have, and how to gather best ideas too, how include the team, how they increase the knowledge inside the team. And I think that we share the same problems, and we live in the same environment, and we deal with the same problems. Yeah. But I'm very hard to start discussion. I'm more like the person who will continue when...
Sorry for picking on you.
I totally agree with Adam that we still need to make more work in organizing product teams. There are companies that are doing it well right now, but there are many of them that still work in bad way, so they are not follow any product management principles, they are not testing hypotheses. And in Poland, I feel like we should work more on introducing new products to market. So at some point in Poland, we are not only building what other wants, but we also start creating solutions that solve customer needs. What I see on the market that AI gives much more options. There are many opportunities, and that's where the whole interest in the subject comes. So we know that we want to bring to customer insights faster. And there are many solutions to do so, and product manager role with the team is to decide what's the best way to do it. But product managers right now should be aware of what machine learning is, how to work with R&D teams, how to include it in the process. So I feel like we still have our work to do.
Anyone? Mm-hmm. Anyone? Jonathan? Any other thoughts on main trends?
When it comes to product management, I do feel that there are a lot more trainings available right now compared to before. Most of you, I guess, didn't come directly to product management. You were first BA or PMs or developers, and then you had to build things, and somebody told you one day, hey, now you're the product manager for that project. And you were like, okay, but what is that exactly? I was a PM, I was a project manager. So what are the differences between what I was doing before and what I'm doing now? So now there is much more education, so what you are saying. about the process of becoming a product manager and the responsibilities that comes with product management. The fact that you're not just taking care of shipping products, but the full roadmap and what is your vision and what is going to be your strategy. So I think we are going there. I do agree with you that there is a lot of work to do in Poland. I guess that this is the focus of what you're doing, Edda. However, it comes with education, not only on the definition of product management, but also the responsibilities, and having companies who are not afraid of giving more responsibilities to their product manager instead of CEOs or, making the vision decisions.
Piotr, I would encourage you to answer this question because we had this invigorating discussion yesterday during speakers' dinner about basically the landscape of product management, for example, in Poland, in the US. Your company is a US company with huge chapter in Poland, right? So you have perspective.
So to give you a little bit of perspective, I started working software industry here in Krakow in 2002. And this landscape in the market changed a lot. And it touches product management because I think this is one of the last types of positions that started to be moved here. Companies are starting to understand that best team is a collocated team that works together, has high bandwidth communication. And new companies entering this market do not think that it's a good idea to have to expand on your point, that you have someone working remotely as a product manager with a team of doers that are just doing the work, engineers. So that product jobs are actually coming here. The problem is that we have classic chicken and egg situation right now. It's hard to find product managers because there are few jobs for product managers. Why there are few jobs for product managers? Because there are so few product managers. So things like this event is actually trying to build community, trying to make those first steps. Poland has still a long way to go before actually we're gonna have enough product managers for all the people that we have here. Even in Krakow, we have around 100,000 people working in Aspire noted this year. We have around 100,000 people working across IT and business services. Half of that is IT. Not sure how many product managers we have, probably a handful. But that's something that is changing. This is big shift that is going to be happening in the following years.
Yeah. And here I'm tempted to ask Olga you this question because Olga is co-creator of the biggest and the most important source of knowledge for product managers in Polish language. It's called Product Vision. Maybe some of you know about it. So you also publish jobs or like share jobs for product managers just to promote this product culture in Poland. Do you see growth in the interest of companies to hire product managers in Poland?
Yeah, we definitely see growth, and we see other roles interested in what we do. So many business analysts, they also wish to become product managers one day. And this is quite easy to change, however, needs more work. Recently, we've been checking, we are preparing the report of the salaries in Poland for product managers, and we gathered 350 results, and it was very hard to get even this 350, which says that it's not a lot of us in Poland. But we are growing, people read us, so it means there is an interest, and there are companies that actually want to talk with us and figure out how they can build product teams in their companies when they were rather oriented on projects, delivering projects rather than building and developing products. So there is a change, and we believe in it, and that's why we do it.
Okay, I wanted to touch upon what Jonathan mentioned, that product managers traditionally were came from different backgrounds, right? Like you were either a developer, I was a content manager one day, and everyone comes into product manager has a different journey. Do you think can you see one of the trends around education and like more and more studies on product management? Do you think, is this the case in the US? I don't know this market too well. Is this coming to Poland anytime soon in terms of educated product managers rather than product managers coming from self-experience? What's your take on this one?
Yes, so I will happily answer this. So basically, 5 years of product development days, it was mostly conferences and building the network of product managers in Poland. This way we grew friendships like the one with Jonathan and many speakers that were coming to us for over the years. But also we started to develop a course. Now we have 6 weeks course that Arjun is running, because we're having access to practices from Silicon Valley, so we're basically bringing them to Poland. So this is like a first step. Another education for product managers that you can, in an accelerated way, learn those practices and techniques and tools is a week-long product camp. Sorry, not product camp. Product academy created by Product Vision and launched just like few weeks or months ago. The next edition is, I guess, just like after the conference, starting in like the beginning of November. So those are 2 initiatives that we for sure know of. But apart from this, there are, for example, AGH, who is also our partner. They have postgraduate studies, UX and product design, which tackles a little bit the product management issues. But as you mentioned already, this is like a still very early stage market for product management in Poland. Whereas, for example, in San Francisco and the South Bay, where we operate with Arjun, there are hundreds of meetups for product managers and thousands of product managers. Like Facebook has thousands of product managers, right? There are like 10 conferences in a year for product managers and many trainings, associations and like some coaching programs. Companies also have very methodical approach to curating new generations of product managers by this program that, for example, was started by Marisa Mayer, and also I know that Qualtrics is developing similar program for associate product managers. So this is like a training new generation of product managers who are assisting senior product managers and at the same time gaining this practical experience. So there are certain practices that we can definitely transplant, and slowly we're trying to do that. And I'm curious, Olga, what you will add to that.
Education of product managers, in my opinion, is important. However, we should also change the mindset of the whole business. Like, our goal should be to build more products, build more companies that are product-oriented, switch these that are project-oriented to the product orientation. And thanks to that, we will make things that make sense, and this will result in more jobs for product managers. So there is also the whole education of the market, how we can transform.
How we can actually do it. Like in the industry, it's now obvious that you need someone to manage a project. How can we convince industries that are still not familiar to the concept of having product managers? What can we actually do? Olga can start, but I would like everyone to chip in.
It's been already researched that many companies suffer because they have no company strategy. And this is where product managers can help to set up proper hypotheses, test the market, and make product decisions. And strategy is about the business, and it should start from the top. That's my start.
But if you think about it, there are not that many companies in Poland actually creating products. Most of small Polish companies that are working in software industry are kind of body shops or doing some kind of nearshoring or offshoring. So basically they are hired to work on IP they don't even own. My guess for the future would be that we'll have more and more companies actually coming here because there's such fierce competition in the US for talent. They'll be coming here, and bringing product jobs here. And again, with the growth of the market, there will be more jobs. Because I don't think if those companies right now that, like, if you ask those small companies, all of them will tell you they would love to have software as a service product, but then the reality kicks in and end up doing work that is basically offshoring for someone else. One interesting change that I'm seeing connected to that is even with software engineers. A lot of companies in market here in Krakow are hiring, for example, Java developer or JavaScript developer. Not that many companies are hiring software engineer that is gonna work on a product and it's supposed to challenge product manager and actually solve business problem. This is changing because there are companies that are hiring like this, that is not for specific technology, but it's actually to solve business problem. So with those changes, there will be easier to get people that are interested in becoming product managers, and then this market is gonna grow.
Yeah. Piotr, and could you share a little more what's your company's, what's Qualtrics strategy in terms of product management? How does it look like?
I mean, what you mentioned is no one invented it. One of our PMs actually just copied the program that Marissa Mayer created at Google of associate product manager, that we have first people that are engineers that are working with PMs that are being coached and trained to become PM, but actually doing the job under supervision of very senior product manager. So we haven't invented anything, we just stole it from Google.
Olga, you wanted to add something?
I think Adam maybe can share with us from the UX perspective. What do you think?
Okay, I can share from the UX perspective, but product management perspective too, if I can say it, because we are in this same problem. Because for the hire good UX designer, you need to have designer who work with the real product and solve real problem. And Poland is more like the software house. Everywhere, and like you mentioned, we don't have the people who have these skills because they then never had opportunity to make these skills. From my perspective, like a person who organized for the 7 years conference for UX designers in Intricity, the one thing that you can do is just to go, share the knowledge with them, teach other, because it's not other way. The other companies that join to Poland, they will hire the PM designer who have the skills. They don't trust people because they risk the money. The thing, the responsibility is for all us, for you with the Atlassian, for you and for me, to share the knowledge, to teach the next generation of the PM and designers, because in some moment, this will hit us. And from my perspective, designers hit a lot because a lot of our skills is stolen by other roles because we don't have people who can do it. Other roles take the UX design skills, and I think for the PMs it's the same.
Okay, let's change the topic slightly. When thinking about the future, we also can envision some challenges. What big challenges can product management help address, and technology? Anyone?
Okay. The main challenge that product management help people to deal with is basically preparing a vision for your product aside of your next deadline. Who are you going to help? How are you going to create that software? What are the processes? And you're able to see it as, we used to say in design as the customer, but I would say more as a visionary who is going to feel a market and then decide, okay, product design team, you're going to work on that side. You will have the ML guys who are going to work on that side, and I'm going to work with all of you to create the product that is going to satisfy that vision. And we are going to have a plan, and we are not going to do whatever is told from the US or the UK, and we are going to do our thing together, which is the aim of co-locations. That's why we want to have all teams together. So having somebody who has that role, that is designed to be a product manager, is going to help your structure. There will be a human being or multiples who are going to be responsible for that. Because if you don't do it, what happens, and what I've seen, is that you're going to receive top-down decisions. Everybody is going to apply them, but up to their own responsibilities, not up to what the product is going to be and how it's going to help your client. It's going to be, okay, my 9 to 5 is to do that, take product design, I need to do that burger menu or whatsoever. I finish it because I don't have to, nobody is going to judge me, nobody is going to take care of it, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll be happy to take it from here. So, as Jonathan mentioned, when we have typical project-oriented organization, decisions come from top down, and there are many activities that companies doing that have no purpose because basically somebody at the top didn't predict how it will go, right? Whether in a typically product organization, when we have product thinking incremented in the whole team, so not only product manager, but the whole team, like designers, developers, they are all having this product mindset, then there is a high chances that the organization makes sense in every part of the organization, that the value is being created by every part of the organization. And it's not only about what kind of value we're creating for customers, but also what kind of joy and satisfaction we have from it, right? How many of you have ever worked on something that doesn't make sense? Right? When you think of this feeling, it's very frustrating. You just go to your job, you do something, and you know that nobody will appreciate it, nobody will use it. Most probably, it will just be put somewhere aside, and that's it, right? And you're just putting your brains into something that has no purpose. And I was very much inspired by what Olga said yesterday during her workshop, that you very early in your career as a Scrum Master discovered that you're interested in why we are doing something and how we are doing it, right? And this grew your interest in product management. So basically, product thinking is also, like answering, Gosia, your question, product thinking for a company and for a team means that everyone creates and builds something that makes sense and has this problem-solving attitude in everyday situations, which is much more satisfactory than anything else that we can do, right? Because as human beings, we are problem solvers. And when we can fix things and solve problems, we are naturally healthy and happy, right? We don't have this poison that makes us do evil things, like Professor was saying at the beginning, right? It brings the best out of them, out of us, right? But we first need to arrange certain environment where that kind of behaviors are possible. That's why we talk about organizational culture. That's why, like Gosia, your presentation, that's why we talk about company strategies, about hiring on different positions, right? Because if the company is totally closed and want to have project managers that will just manage scope and deliver outputs, not outcomes, then we are just stuck in a certain setting that just cannot give us different and new results, right? That's why it's very, very important to work systematically on this change. And one of the reasons why we chose mastering product mindset as a main theme of this year's conference is that we really believe that product mindset is not only for product managers, it's for everyone in the product team, everyone that has any kind of input into what company is doing, right? And I'm really glad, as a program director of this conference, that we have as partners companies like Qualtrics, like Dynatrace, like Spartes, like Sentiwan, that are representing that kind of thinking, that we're just not talking about some abstract examples from books, but this is really happening, right? And we can touch it, we can talk with those people, we can just discover new approach and new world. This was a pretty long answer, but... Thank you.
Olga?
Yeah, I see two more challenges on our Polish market. At Senti1, we are building products for B2B, and we are currently introducing new product to market. And for me as a product manager, challenge is to work with enterprise customers, their attitude very often. So imagine you participate in the tender and after 1.5 years of hard work, when you ask for a feedback why we haven't succeeded in the end, you get no reply. This is very demotivating, and I wish enterprise change their mindset when they work with smaller companies. But there is a lot of potential building B2B products, and of course we want to cooperate. And here during the conference we speak a lot about how to get feedback, how to make experiments. And imagine your target group is much lower, and enterprises are much closed, and to verify some hypotheses you need to use much different techniques. You need to go to the conference, go for a meeting with business clients, prepare POC, very often for free. So, and in this field, product management role is slightly different, and there are different challenges as well.
Okay, I have one more question. This is a bit more low level, but this is something I'm personally interested in, and I wanted to pick on what Piotr said about co-location. That it's so important, and like as product manager we work really closely with the team. I wanted to ask about remoteness of a product manager. Like the whole, everything is distributed now. So you have teams working around the globe, different time zones. Do you think there is, is there a future trend that can help product managers work remotely? Like, is there even the future for remoteness of product managers?
I can take that one, this is my job. Okay, so I'm remote, so I feel kind of attacked by this question. So I've been remote since a while now. I worked for a company called Brown Bovary Man for a long time. And then 2 years ago, I decided to do my own thing. And I'm working remotely, mainly with Asian and American companies. Right now, though, I'm working with a company from West Africa, building an e-commerce platform. And the team is totally remote, which means that the owners are coming from Silicon Valley. But we have product teams in Luxembourg and West Africa, Senegal. And we have me in Poland with my dev team. And it works really well because at the start of the process, we really define roles as responsibilities. And we really took care of not having people that work on the foot of others. So everybody got filled to discuss. We use asynchronous discussions as our standard motto. We have just one full live meeting per week. And we have off-site, I would say on-site in that case. So we have our on-site every 6 months when we all meet in basically the US now. Hopefully they will come in Poland. And it works well. I've been also in projects where it didn't work at all. And it's mainly a question of culture, of are your partners used to work remotely, and do you trust the people you're working with? Because there is that tendency, particularly in Poland, about micromanagement, and you won't go far if you need to have people pointing at your computer telling you what to do. That's not going to happen. So you need to train people to do this, and I do think that it's an opportunity for us in Poland because it's going to help companies to grow. So I do believe in growth from little companies starting in Poland, creating their product and succeeding. The base example that all of you know is CD Projekt, which is a flag bearer for Poland around the world in a product that was built here. We have other products, and we need more of that, and that will build more culture, and people will be more trustful of what we are doing. So, short reply: it works. It works very well. We shipped, and hopefully there will be much more of that in the future.
No? Anyone? Any other experience?
Okay, I can add some things from my experience. When it is discussing about working remotely, I think we need to separate two situations. One, that we have the one team in the same time zone, and in that situation, working with the product manager and with the team is easier. And second one, when we have the two teams that working in different zones. I have the opportunity to work in these two situations. 2 years ago, I worked for the UX team, like the UX designer. In that moment, UX designer was the someone who connect UX and PM skills to the role, because you are UX designer for the product to the UX. You make decision like the PM because you're doing for yourself, something like that, products. In that moment, we had the situation that we have the company in Gdańsk and headquarters in Mountain View, California. And that works well because we have a person on our side that make decision on the daily basis. When we have some biggest issue, we could connect and sync after 8 hours. But we have someone who was in the team, sit down with the team and make decision on time. That speed up the thing. And when I think about having the working with the remote team, in Dynatrace, we're trying to make that, okay, PM could be remote, but we need someone who is something like the sync with the vision, and very often this is the designer. We're trying to not make the situation that designer and PM is in a different location, and development team is in the different. Because when talking about the sharing the vision, making the small but very important decision, engaging the team, it's hard. It's very hard. And we want to increase the engagement and speed of working. And in that situation, very often the PM or the feature owner or the owner of the feature taking the role of someone who making the small decision in the end.
My opinion is that product manager can work remotely if the whole team is working remotely. But if there is a whole team and main stakeholders in one place, he's just missing too much. So I would prefer to be there with the team.
Okay, thank you, everyone. I think it's going to be my last question.
Could I ask a question to you? Because I know that you work a lot remotely, and I'm very interested on your perspective about this.
Yeah, so actually, I'm not sure, because I've never worked remote as a product manager, and I do feel that having this co-location is very important for me. But I also know that it's going to be more and more challenging to build co-located teams that have all the required talent, like involve all the required talent. You have UX designers, product managers. It's becoming more and more challenging. So I'm on the fence here. I feel that maybe I would lean towards what Olga said, that if the team is remote, everyone is remote and knows how to work remote and understands the challenges related to working remote, then it would be possible. But imagining a situation when the whole team is co-located and the product manager is the only remote person, I probably would say no to it. So that's my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I have one more question. Sorry, I didn't go deep with this topic, because what I think that very often when you sit down with someone, it is easier to agree on a lot of stuff. We have this few way of communication. One is that we were verbal, we use the word, but second, more important, is to gather the trust. And when we're working together every day, we meet together with the kitchen, we drink the coffee, the trust is big. But when you're working remotely, everyone work remotely, how to build this trust. This is my topic and something that is interesting for me, because it is easy to go to the kitchen, discuss about some tough problem, but remotely, when you don't know this person, you didn't see him every day, you just only see the face, this is challenge for me. That
Okay, I can take that one.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't think you need to see someone every day to trust that person. Otherwise, you probably won't have friends anymore. I do think that it's mainly a question of setup of the organization. So I do love the not full. I mean, remote for me is. I mean, it's my lifestyle. However, I do believe that every few months you need to gather and just spend time together discussing about projects and have that physical discussion, those discussions and those, those coffees, those night outs, brainstorming, ideating, and all of that. This is very important. I do agree. So I do agree that having that physical feedback is important. However, I disagree that you need to have it every day. I know the most successful designer that I know right now is based in Germany, work for a Silicon Valley company, and basically meet them, goes there once a month or something like that, and I have plenty of examples. Because I'm remote, I know a lot of remote designers for huge corporations, including Microsoft, and they do succeed at their job. But yeah, you need to have a management that understands what is it to work remotely. I do agree that you need to have most of your team remote for it to work well. And if you don't have, you need to have those moments where you gather. I mean, there are, what's the name? The founders of 37 Signals and Basecamp wrote a book about this whole topic, and it's very interesting to read.
Yeah, just to close on this topic, I think it's about defining roles and responsibilities and also being very clear about the goals. Like if you are clear, if you agree on the goals, and then you go apart, but you are empowered to actually make decisions on the level that you know that you're responsible for, I think this should work. Okay, but we have to move on. My last question is about and I'm going to ask every single one of you to share your painted picture for the role of a product manager. So when you think about, from the perspective being a product manager, but also working from a product manager, working with a product manager, how do you imagine this role in the future? What would be the painted picture for product management? Let's start.
Again, me. Thank you. From my perspective, when you're looking for the future, for the role for a product manager, is the person who is responsible for the vision, and like the Bartek got mentioned, is the person who make the last decision. Because I think we need one person who make the final decision, because sometimes they're hard, and we need someone who is responsible for that. But on the other side, I think the product manager is a person who take care about the team, share knowledge with the team. It's not the person who has all the knowledge. This person needs to make a decision, but it's not the person who take to know all. I think the product manager more will be use the team for gathering the ideas, create the solution, and allow them to work alone, if I can say in that way. Yeah.
So I see the future role rather closer to business, company strategy, and business model. So it's really business oriented. Like the goal of the product manager is to generate increased revenue, and we can then take this strategy and figure out the best solutions with the team. But not only working on solutions, how to achieve, but what we want to achieve and what we should focus on. That's how I see the perfect product manager.
What I'm seeing is that PMs will be more and more driven by data and making decisions based on data, at least the good PMs. So the ones that are successful will be making decisions based on data. Going back to some of the presentations that we had today, so many metrics that you can gather from your product and make informed decisions about your product. Based on that, PMs will be heavily using data to make decisions, not just making assumptions and working for years and trying to validate them, but moving faster and making decisions based on data.
Yes, that's very well said. So I will take on a more human perspective. I do think that the future of PMs is people that have the ability to listen to all stakeholders and understand where you are right now as a company, where you want to be, and find out, okay, how are we going to get to that vision? Because you need to create goals that are smarter than even realistic. You want to inspire, in a way, your groups. So I do think, yeah, the future for me for this profile is people that are today probably BAs or developers that have an affinity with listening to what happens on their product from all sides and decide, okay, I'm ready to take the next step. I'm not only to be an individual contributor to that product, and I'm going to help everybody, all my group, listen to their issues, listen to what they think the product can be, listen to the market, get those data, and contribute to the product itself and not only a part of the product.
I would say that in ideal picture, product managers are responsible for cultivating this product culture within the company and also understand the product thinking by all members of the team that they are working with. Also being that kind of facilitators that interact with many stakeholders, because product managers interact with like boards, clients, partners, vendors, teams, right? So they have very unique perspective on the company and can be that kind of agents that really make a difference, what kind of value the company is creating and also what is the atmosphere and like what are the internal processes, right? So this is a very crucial role. Still, we are far from this ideal picture, but this is how I would envision it. And Gosia, how about you?
Yeah, I think when I think about how I would like product managers to operate, I would say that I definitely agree with Olga. I think we should operate on a highest possible level, like being responsible for the vision, strategy, rather than like traditionally product managers were filling the gaps, like whenever there is, the team needs a scrum master, okay, product manager can do it. This team needs, like there is some code that needs to be written urgently, okay, I can do some coding, I'll do it. So I would like product managers to be, not to be this person, but being much higher and empowering the team. This is what is important. I see us as people who bring context to the team, share this context, as you've mentioned, like the business perspective, the customer perspective, data, but let the teams make decisions, lower level decisions that help move product forward. So that's my idealistic painted picture.
And Adam, you wanted to add something? Or no?
I want only emphasize what Piotr said, because he mentioned about the data, using the data, you know. And I think the one was what important was that you mentioned the data informed, data based, and you didn't mention data driven. That from my perspective is very good, because we make decision. The data is only the part of the information. We shouldn't focus, okay, data said that we should do it, and we don't think about this. In the end, the person making the decision, and that's important from my perspective.
I would like to add that product management, it's not about where we are now and not only focus on who is our customer, but also we need to have some time to figure out what else we could do, what other segments of clients we could reach with what value proposition to actually expand the whole business. and this is an essence of the product management, at least like what's written in the literature, what's worked the best way. However, it's not like in practice very often.
I think it's time to wrap up. Thank you everyone for being part of this panel, and yeah, the future is bright. Thank you.